Hi guys, this is gsndon.com and I'm here with the handset called the Allview X3 Soul Pro. It's the flagship that Allview has right now, and you may also know it as the Gionee S8 handset in the locally integrated version by Romanian company Allview. So it's the best technology they have to offer. It was introduced at Mobile World Congress 2016 and it's priced at around $500. I said before, there are a lot of goodies here. We got the laser focus at the back, we got a 3D touch style technology, and we even have a feature that's supposed to be some sort of front camera flash. First of all, let's talk about the design. This is a pretty and a slim phone. It measures only 7mm in thickness and weighs 144 grams. It's actually slimmer than the iPhone 6s by 0.1mm, but it's also 1 gram heavier, so pretty much the same weight. At the same time, it has a much bigger screen than the iPhone 6s. We get 2.5D glass up front, and the phone comes in gold or gray, has a metal unibody case. It's comfy, but it's also long, so one-hand usage is a bit out of the picture. As you can see, I cannot exactly reach all the areas I want of the screen because the phone is quite long. The buttons have good feedback, especially the home one, but also the power button here and the volume buttons here. Other things worth mentioning, well, the antenna are very interestingly integrated here. As you can see, we have them integrated all around the device with this plasticky cutout around the edges, which is quite a unique approach nowadays. Extra cutouts are available here, here, here and here. It's a premium design for sure, elegant, comfy, great looking, and it has got to be the best looking higher end Allview phone so far. Very nice finishing and a solid build and very comfy, so no objections here. Now as far as the screen is concerned, boy do we have some things to show you. So it's an AMOLED 5.5 incher Full HD 2.5D panel. We get on-cell touch technology and Gorilla Glass 3 plus very narrow bezels. We have a video app. Here we go, and now it's time to take the screen for a spin and we start play from zero. So in this video player we get options like DTS for the acoustics and this pop-up play style feature that lets you minimize the window and keep doing something else while you're watching the clip. Now as far as the actual experience of the display goes, we got a bright screen, vivid colors, the image is very crisp, the black is deep, and we got wide viewing angles, as you can well see, plus good contrast. The pixels are of the pentile matrix variety, and let's check that out. As usual, we have a microscope, we're not afraid to use it. This is the setup I mentioned before, pentile matrix, and this one is a Samsung made panel. And then we tested the brightness and achieved 485 lux units, which is good. It beats the iPhone SE, OnePlus 2 and Lenovo Vibe X3, for example. Now as far as the screen settings go, we get here and we're dealing with brightness level, adaptive brightness, economical backlight, font style, font size, wallpaper, auto rotate, sleep and LCD effect. That includes neutral, cool color or warm color. It's best to keep it on neutral. Then we got daydream, skylight and multitask display style. You can use a card style or native style, basically a series of cards or simply the usual carousel. And now let's talk about the interesting stuff. So I mentioned in the beginning that this phone has sort of like a 3D touch feature, which means you can apply various levels of pressure for certain features. So right now I'm pressing on the camera icon and achieved extra options like selfie, video or snapshot. Same goes for the gallery, press it hard and you got latest, beautify and doodle. And if you also do that to the calendar, extra options as well here. Keep in mind, this is not a regular long press, that's a regular long press, and as you can see the option is different. This technology here is called multi-level touch. It has its dedicated area. So if you go to advanced settings, multi-level touch, you can set it up here, its sensitivity, you can test it, and you can unlock the screen by pressing it harder or not, and then something else comes along. There's something called edge bar, but before the edge bar, let's see an extra application of the feature. So if you press it like this, you highlight the pictures and you can see the options below it. It's not a regular tap, which works like this, or even a long press, which is this one. So press hard, achieve a preview, everything else is blurred, and get extra options, pretty much like Apple's 3D touch. Back to what I showed you before, because I'm sure I got you all curious. And here we go. multi-level touch, and edge bar. Well, it sort of wants to be like the Galaxy S6 Edge and Galaxy S7 Edge. It places a series of shortcuts on this side. You have to actually press the edge quite hard, and here we go. You get a bunch of shortcuts to play with, and you can change position of the edge. You can place it on this side, and you simply enter the app by pressing them. That's it. It's not rocket science. It's useful, but it doesn't invent anything new. Of course, you can add apps or remove apps, and that's it in a nutshell. So this is actually the first Android phone with this option we test. We like that a lot and hope to see that in the future more. It's a great screen, by the way. And now it's time to talk about the performance. And performance obviously involves hardware. So we got a MediaTek Helio P10 octa-core processor, and this one comes with a Mali T860 GPU, 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, micro SD card slot, and this is a bit of a flagship, so of course there's no lag, all the apps open up fast and close fast, it's a fluid user interface, and sometimes it feels Nexus level snappy, which is quite a compliment. We ran 2 or 3 games on it, all of them ran just fine, including Ratchet & Clank and Riptide GP2. Here we go, our usual benchmark title. Let's have a go and maybe try this race. Okay, so the water already looks good, very liquid, so to say. We aren't dropping any frames. The speed sensation is good, and hopefully we get a splash of the screen. You can see the water drops and everything is picture perfect. Of course, we perform benchmarks. We won't insist too much on them, but they're one of the ways to prove if the device has a high performance or not. So in quadrant, we're around the level of the Asus Zenfone 2. We beat the HTC One A9, and that's in quadrant. In Antutu 6, with this score of 50,000 points, we're only a bit below the Huawei Honor 7, above the Samsung Galaxy A5 2016, while in the 3D aspect of this benchmark, well, we're actually the 19th place phone all time in our test, which is pretty good. Usually, during the series of tests, we gravitated around the results of the HTC One A9, so it's rather a higher mid-ranger than a flagship level performance. Okay, time to discuss the temperature. So once we played the game Riptide GP2 for 15 minutes, we achieved a temperature of 37.1 degrees Celsius, so there's no overheating. And then we ran the pretty intensive benchmark GFX Bench, achieving 34.1 degrees Celsius, so once again no overheating. Well, it's time to talk about the battery now. In spite of being only 7mm thin, the phone does manage to score a 3000 mAh lithium polymer battery, and it also has a charger of 9 volts and 2 amperes. On paper, we're being promised up to 300 hours of standby, and during our test, we were totally blown away by the results. So, the video playback test achieved in a loop, Wi-Fi on, brightness at 200 lux, 10 hours and 52 minutes, which is very good. We beat the LG G5, we beat the Galaxy S6 Edge, but still scored a bit below the Galaxy S5. We also did the PC Mark test, once again a great result, 8 hours and 21 minutes, which is the 11th place all time during our tests, and it's very exceptional for a slim phone. Beats the Galaxy S7 and Note 5, and that's everything you have to remember here. And the charging is done in 2 hours and 32 minutes, which is quite okay, considering we have an USB Type-C port and charger. It's faster than the Huawei P8 and the iPhone 6s. And of course, there are power saving features, as if the battery was not already good enough. So here we go, we got Manage Battery, Power Manager, and the features are Normal Mode, Power Saving Mode, and Extreme Power Saving. This one limits the features you can use and opts for a black and white interface. We also have Smart Power Saving at night, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell, as well as battery optimization, which is associated to the Marshmallow dose. An excellent battery. And now it's time to talk about the acoustics. So we got this singular speaker here, 4 holes, kind of easy to cover up when playing a game in landscape or watching a video. There's also DTS technology, and since this is a test unit, we don't have headphones for it. On paper, we are being promised 90 decibels, and we actually are not very far from that value, to the high praise of this model. Typical music player for Allview, and typical options. We got DTS, these settings for various headphones, effects volume that includes a bunch of genre settings, and 5 channels of frequencies to tweak. Now let's actually listen to some tunes. So here we go. Okay, so that's pretty impressive. The sound is very loud, very clear, excellent bass, and you can easily cover a conversation in a medium-sized room. It's a great experience, but once again you cover it in landscape, although the sound is so powerful that some of it will get past your fingers. Now the decibel meter confirmed our theory. It's an excellent speaker, 88.6 decibels, and it beats the HTC One M9, LG G4, all of the iPhones, and it's the 5th placed loudest phone all time in our test. So that's very nice. And we also have FM radio here, but no headphones once again. Okay folks, so now it's time to talk about the camera of the Allview X3 Soul Pro, aka the Gionee S8. So 16 megapixel shooter at the back, 16 not 60 megapixel shooter, with an S5 K3 P3 sensor made by Samsung, laser focus here and LED flash here, f1.8 aperture, ISO cell technology, face detection autofocus, and RWB technology, red, white and blue instead of RGB pixels, which means improved low light capacity. And up front we got an 8 megapixel shooter for selfies paired up with a so-called flash selfie. Basically the screen lights up really in a powerful way and it tries to brighten up the shot. So the camera app starts pretty fast and the interface is familiar if you've seen an Allview phone before. There are some new things though. So first of all, let's get to the camera experience. We got a fast focus and fast focus change, although the exposure change is a bit violent if you ask me. Fluid zoom and fast picture taking. Very loud shutter sound by the way. Anyway, as I said before, fast picture taking. On the left side we find the options. They're pretty typical. We got guidelines, picture size, which is here, countdown, capture mode here, and then we have the front camera shortcut, flash options, and the main capture modes now display covering the whole screen, not just a section. We got super photo, which basically combines a series of 5 shots getting up to, let's say, about 80 megapixels or so. Pic note, mood photo, a Polaroid on which you can write something, GIF, smart scan, panorama, slow motion, macro is a new mode on this Allview phone, night, time-lapse, text recognition, HDR, professional and smart scene. Professional triggers some extra options that include exposure, white balance and ISO, as well as shutter speed from the 30th part of a second to 20 seconds, and then again we also have focus. Okay, so those are all the modes. Notice that you cannot exit them. Instead, the latest mode you just used is added here next to the shutter, and then you return to the regular mode. Other than that, well, we have the effects, which are shown in a very iOS-like style, and then we have face beauty and video with its very own options. Okay, so we got anti-banding, scene mode, anti-shaking, of course you can film up to full HD, and that's about it in a nutshell about the camera UI and options. Time to go to the gallery, and boy do we have a number of pictures for you. 145 of them, selfies included. So we start off on a very sunny day with spectacular clouds, some of the best looking clouds I've ever seen. We got a pretty okay clarity and some good details when we start zooming in. For example, onto this cross, it's a cross on a church, and then we zoom into the max and details are being kept. There are some focus problems every once in a while, especially in close-ups, but this is a test sample, so you shouldn't read too much into it. In the end, when we do manage to focus, the results are stunning when we're taking macros or close-up pictures. We got realistic colors and very nice texture of the many flowers we caught on camera. I also have to mention that the panorama resolution felt rather modest, 6832 over 1616, but at least it can handle sun even if it's directly in front of the camera. Okay, now we proceed further. We also taken a series of selfies, but we'll get there first. So I have to say that the texture of the skin and the hair is okay, but my face feels a bit too white compared to a normal human being hue of the face. And I mentioned before you have a special flash selfie, so let's see it here. Okay, so this is it. You press this option, you get fill light, take a shot, and that was the flash selfie in action. Back to the gallery and back to those extra white skin selfies. Don't get me wrong, they're very clear, very crisp, everything is fine, but my face is not that white. Okay, some more shots. If you zoom into landscape, you get some good details here. And we also took some HDR shots which were not exaggerately white, they were moderately white. Even more selfies in the shade this time and perhaps with better colors. The perfect example of an HDR regular shot, an HDR shot that does not exaggerate with the white. I talked before about superb clouds, those are it. I've taken maybe hundreds of photos using handsets over the years, but none of the clouds looked as great as those ones, like a mothership was descending. And keep in mind you have a crane here, far away. We zoom in onto the crane and the details are quite good. Okay, and then we started playing with the macro mode, and once again those clouds. This camera could be bought simply for the clouds and for excellent macros. As you can see, these are not auto macros, they're macro mode macros. This is a GIF, run of the mill, good colors again, clouds again, we cannot help but take pictures of them over and over and over. And an area with more colorful items in the shade this time, an important piece of the testing. So I have to say that the macros stand out and the cloud shots in landscape also stand out. Those two are on a flagship level and the selfies beat the LG G4 for example. This model is not very far from the iPhones, although an iPhone's quality is that it never takes a blurry shot. This phone, well, sometimes it does take a blurry shot, but it's a test unit, so in the end it could be on par with an iPhone, which is no small feat. Enough with the daytime shots. Let's go to the low light shots because we also have those. These ones, sadly, not exactly very impressive. Some of them are a bit grainy. The street light halos are a bit on the big side. However, the brightness and colors are okay. And we particularly like the built-in texture. The flash is also pretty good. Let's get to the money shot. Okay, so these buildings look very nice texture-wise, good lighting and good quality generally. However, I also noticed that quite a few of the shots taken in low light were blurry, and that's not a quality. The quality of the night capture is below the Samsung Galaxy A5 2016 if you really want a comparison. Time to talk about the videos. We have a lot of them. They're full HD, MP4, and the frame rate was odd. By odd I mean disappointing, because we had 23 or 24 frames per second, and that's strange basically. Also facing strong wind and not facing it well, and I feel that a modern phone should always film at 30 frames per second, not 23, not 24. Anyway, the acoustics is very prominently mono. I tried to listen to it with headphones and only one of the headphones worked, so that's bad. If you zoom in, there's quite a bit of quality loss, but at least the clouds are still spectacular even on video. And another video. There's also some sudden exposure change, and some areas of the clip feel burnt. And also the camera feels a bit shaky, so stabilization is not its strong suit. Okay, and I cannot help myself but show you a spectacular cloud video. Here we go. It's a mall being built, a huge mall in a cloudier area. And this is where the exposure is tested best, and the phone faced it, let's say, pretty well. Okay, we also took nighttime videos, and those are a bit of a bummer. I don't like them one bit. First of all, they're at 18 frames per second, 5 mega per second, a bit grainy, not very clear, and echoey as far as the sound goes. So while the photo capture was closer to the iPhones than anything else, the video capture, well, it goes below the Xperias we've tested lately, below the Samsung Galaxy models, Galaxy A, and even, let's say, even below the Huawei Honor phones. So the video is a bit of a letdown compared to the photo. Overall, good pictures for a mid-ranger, but not a flagship. Now the browser, let's load up gsmdome.com. Of course, it's a slow browser, you probably guessed that. Here we go, taking our time, and it loaded the site, still loading, still. The benchmarks that were taken on this phone for the browser, I mean browser marks, SunSpider and the works, were rather poor and unimpressive, and the keyboard available here is comfy in the end. So let's get to other aspects like connectivity. So on the connectivity front, this is a dual SIM phone that has a micro SIM and nano SIM card slot. It has GPS, it has HD voice, and it does both TDD and FDD 4G. It's actually LTE category 6, going all the way up to 300 mega per second download. There is Bluetooth 4.0, there's Wi-Fi BGN in the 5 GHz band alone. There is no 2.5 GHz, excuse me, 2.4 GHz. We have Wi-Fi Direct, we have USB Type-C, and the calls are pretty clear, they're pretty loud, and the signal is okay. In this area you can find the blacklist, speed dial, and the settings available here. So everything is excellent on the connectivity front. Now it's time to discuss the software experience. We're running on Android 6.0 Marshmallow with a few modifications from Allview, a few tweaks. First of all, multitasking can either be shown as cards or carousel depending on your preference. The drop down area shows notification, and the swipe up area, it's sort of like the control center. It has a brightness slider and customizable toggles which you can actually find and tweak here. We have one for airplane mode, extreme battery mode, fake call, calculator, etc. Okay, if you pinch the screen you can go to apps, widgets, which are quite nice looking, but in the end most of them are stock, and effects that are basically transitions for the home screens. Okay, the actual settings are here, and they're not exactly surprising. We have display, sound, there is do not disturb, and obviously there are security features which include a fingerprint scanner. So you can use the fingerprint scanner to lock the screen. You can secure it with a password, and easy unlock. Okay, here we go. You can also unlock the guest mode, and let's give it a shot. Okay, apparently not activated just yet. So fingerprint, 1, 2, 3, 4, next, easy unlock, fingerprint 1, I suppose we have to select it from here. Okay, and I guess that now we should be doing it. That's more like it. As you can see, it's an instant unlock, and let's try and change the angle and reverse it now. So that was fast, accurate and precise, and the process of registering the print takes 20 steps, which is kind of a lot. In the settings area we also have extra features like smart gestures, smart dial, black screen gestures, double click to wake up, the usual ones, suspend button floating on the screen with extra options, and then we have the LED light, memory, manage battery, button setting even, because those are only dots, they're not symbols, and that's about it. As far as the apps are concerned, here is the app list, and let's see just how many apps are installed. So we counted them and got up to 46 apps, which is a bit close to bloatware, basically bloatware. We got Bitdefender Mobile Security, that's useful. We got Chameleon, which allows you to create themes by using the colors captured by the camera. There is a child mode with special parental settings and a list of apps that the little one is allowed to access or not. And a novelty here among the apps that we usually get on an Allview phone is something called Video Editor. This is new and it has quite a few options. Okay, so professional edit. Okay, and I'm going to select this video, and guess what? A ton of options. Crop, filter, watermark, word, transition, speed and sound, and you'll create a perfect vacation clip since the vacation should be starting. That's all about the Allview X3 Soul Pro, also known as the Gionee S8. Time for the verdict. So on the Pro side, obviously it's an elegant and a handset that has an original design, great battery, bright screen, perfect macro shots from the camera, nice screen extras, multi-level touch and that special bar on the side, good performance, very loud speaker, very loud, comfy fingerprint scanner, and the fact we have Marshmallow on board is always a plus. On the cons side, well, the 3D benchmarks, GFX bench and the 3D aspect of 3D Mark were not exactly impressive. There are some focus problems of the camera which we associate with the test unit. the skin was too white in the selfies, the video capture didn't impress, and then there's bloatware. In the end, this is the most innovative handset we've ever tested so far from Allview and locally integrated from Gionee, so that's something interesting. The first phone with this feature, with 3D touch or multi-level touch, first phone with Android and this, and also one of the few phones on the market with laser focus, which is becoming more and more widespread. Of course, Marshmallow is here, USB Type-C, flash selfie, so a large amount of innovation poured onto a slim 7mm case. It wants to fight the Galaxy S7, it ends up fighting the Galaxy A5, A7 2016, and it's more of an upper mid-ranger than the flagship phone. For now it remains a flagship for Allview, and it's the most featured Allview device to date. It is priced at around $500. So this was the review of the Allview X3 Soul Pro at gsm.com or the locally integrated Gionee S8. Bye bye!